Hollywood has seen its share of messy divorces, but few have been as publicly dissected as Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner's split. For years, we thought we knew the story. The perfect couple, torn apart by scandal. The devoted wife, standing by her troubled husband. The nanny, caught in the crossfire. But in 2021, Ben Affleck said something that changed everything we thought we knew. Sitting across from Howard Stern, the actor dropped a bombshell that would spark outrage across the internet. He claimed he felt trapped in his marriage to Jennifer Garner. Worse, he suggested that if he'd stayed with her, he'd probably still be drinking himself into oblivion night after night. The backlash was immediate and brutal. Twitter exploded with accusations that Ben was blaming his ex-wife for his alcoholism. People called him ungrateful, pointing out that Jennifer had literally driven him to rehab multiple times. Some questioned whether his new wife, Jennifer Lopez, should reconsider her decision to marry him.
Just made me out to be like the worst, most insensitive, stupid, awful guy,
But here's what most people missed in the fury. That controversial interview wasn't the full story, not even close. What really happened between Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner goes deeper than a single quote or a nanny scandal. It's a story about two people who genuinely loved each other but couldn't save themselves from their own demons. At 53, Ben has spent years trying to explain what went wrong, and the truth is far more complicated than anyone realized. This isn't just about betrayal or infidelity. It's about the slow unraveling of a marriage under impossible pressure.
I recognized it. It was the worst day of my life. I made amends.
Before the chaos, before the headlines, there was actually something real between them. Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner first crossed paths in 2000 on the set of Pearl Harbor. It wasn't love at first sight though. Jennifer was married to actor Scott Foley at the time, and Ben was riding high on his Oscar win for Good Will Hunting, dating around Hollywood like most young stars do. They were just colleagues, nothing more. But then came 2002 and everything changed. They reunited on the set of Daredevil, playing love interests on screen. This time both were single. Jennifer had split from Foley, and Ben had ended things with his previous girlfriend. The chemistry that audiences saw in the movie wasn't just acting. Years later, Ben would tell Playboy magazine that they fell in love on that set, joking that Jennifer won most of their fight scenes, which was pretty much a predictor of what would happen in real life. Here's where it gets messy though. Right after Daredevil wrapped, Ben got engaged to someone else. Jennifer Lopez. You remember Bennifer, right? The couple that broke the internet before breaking the internet was even a thing. From 2002 to 2004, Ben and J.Lo were everywhere. Magazine covers, red carpets, that infamous pink diamond ring. But behind the glamour, the relationship was crumbling under media pressure. They called off their wedding in 2003, and by early 2004, it was completely over.
A relationship that was deeply meaningful and one to which I could be deeply committed.
Entered Jennifer Garner, stage left. Less than a year after his split from Lopez, Ben and Jennifer Garner went public with their relationship in October 2004. They were spotted at a Boston Red Sox game, and suddenly everyone was talking about Hollywood's new golden couple. This Jennifer was different from the last one. Quieter, more grounded, less interested in the spotlight. People said she was exactly what Ben needed, someone to settle him down, to save him from himself. They got married in June 2005 in an intimate ceremony on a beach in Turks and Caicos. Only 2 other people attended. It was the opposite of the circus his relationship with Lopez had become. Within months, Jennifer was pregnant with their first child, Violet. Then came Serafina in 2009 and Samuel in 2012. From the outside, they had built the perfect Hollywood family. But perfect was just the image they sold to the world. Behind closed doors, cracks were forming from the very beginning. Years later, Jennifer would admit something that explained a lot. She told InStyle magazine that when they had their first child, they'd only been together for about a year. Think about that. 1 year of dating, then suddenly they're parents. She said they were basically babies themselves. That it all happened so fast she could hardly remember what they were like before kids entered the picture. Ben would echo this sentiment, admitting they tried and tried and tried to make it work. But trying isn't the same as succeeding. The pressure of instant parenthood, combined with Ben's demanding career and his ongoing struggles with alcohol, created a volatile mix. Jennifer told Yahoo Parenting that you never really know who you or your partner will become after having a baby. You just have to hang on and hope you both end up in the same place. They didn't end up in the same place. By 2014, people who knew them started noticing changes. They were spotted separately more often. At industry events, they seemed distant. In April 2015, Jennifer spent her birthday apart from Ben, which sparked the first real wave of rumors. Sources close to the couple started whispering to tabloids that separation was coming. Some even claimed Ben wanted to announce the split before their 10th wedding anniversary, like he couldn't bear the pretense of celebrating a milestone in a dying marriage. The couple tried to shut down the speculation. They released statements saying everything was fine, that they were planning to spend quality family time together that summer, but the truth was becoming harder to hide. Friends would later reveal that they'd been in therapy for 2 years, trying everything to save what they'd built. They even tried a trial separation, living apart for 10 months while still presenting a united front for their kids. Nothing worked. Then came June 29, 2015, their 10th wedding anniversary. The next day, June 30th, they released a joint statement that shook Hollywood. After much thought and careful consideration, they'd made the difficult decision to divorce. The timing was brutal, one day after their anniversary. It felt like a message, like they'd held on just long enough to avoid the symbolism of splitting on the actual date. They'd promised to move forward with love and friendship, committed to co-parenting their 3 children. Just when people thought the story couldn't get messier, a name started circulating that would become synonymous with Hollywood scandal: Christine Ouzounian. She was 28 years old, attractive, and had been working as Ben and Jennifer's nanny for their 3 kids. Christine wasn't just any nanny though. She'd come through a high-end Beverly Hills agency, the kind that caters exclusively to celebrity families, before working for the Afflecks. She'd been employed by Neil Patrick Harris and his husband David Bertka, taking care of their twins in New York. She had solid references, seemed trustworthy. Nobody saw what was coming. The trouble started during a family vacation to the Bahamas in summer 2015. Ben, Jennifer, the kids, and Christine all traveled together to the exclusive Baker's Bay resort. On paper, it was just a family trip with childcare support. But something happened on that vacation that changed everything. Sources later claimed that Jennifer's suspicions about Ben and Christine's relationship began growing during those days in paradise. The real explosion came when Christine was supposed to meet up with her fiancé, a local fisherman she'd been dating while in the Bahamas. Instead, she flew to Las Vegas with Ben and his friend Tom Brady for a charity poker tournament. She'd lied to Jennifer about her plans. That's when Jennifer knew something was very wrong. Photos from that Vegas trip would later surface, showing Christine sitting on Tom Brady's private jet, wearing multiple Super Bowl rings and looking very comfortable in the world of celebrity excess. The images sparked a media firestorm. Here was the nanny, flying around on private jets with her employer while his wife stayed home with the kids. It looked bad, really bad. Things got worse when paparazzi started showing up everywhere Christine went. In mid-July, photographers captured Ben and Christine together, with Christine delivering what appeared to be champagne and beer to his house. The pictures went viral instantly. Here's where it gets interesting though. Sources close to the situation claimed Christine was calling the paparazzi herself, tipping them off to her location. She wanted to be photographed. She wanted the attention. Within days, Christine had over 2,000 Instagram followers, despite having a private account. She was spotted at trendy Beverly Hills restaurants, driving a brand new Lexus convertible that mysteriously appeared right after the scandal broke. Some people said she was looking for an agent, hoping to parlay her 15 minutes of fame into a reality TV career. Ben's camp went into full damage control mode. His publicist released a statement calling the affair allegations complete garbage and lies. They even threatened legal action against tabloids hiding behind blind sources. But Jennifer Garner didn't stay silent for long. In a brutally honest interview with Vanity Fair in March 2016, she set the record straight in a way that surprised everyone. "Let me just tell you something," she said. "We had been separated for months before I ever heard about the nanny. Months. Think about what that means. The timeline everyone assumed was wrong. The narrative that the nanny destroyed their marriage was fiction." Jennifer made it crystal clear that Christine Ouzounian had nothing to do with their decision to divorce. She was not part of the equation. But Jennifer didn't completely let Ben off the hook either. She admitted it was bad judgment on his part. Having the nanny disappear from their kids' lives wasn't great. She'd even had to have conversations with her children about what the word scandal meant, which no parent should have to do. Then Jennifer said something that cut to the heart of their relationship. She called Ben the love of her life, not past tense, present tense. She described him as the most brilliant person in any room, the most charismatic, the most generous. But then came the devastating part. She said he was just a complicated guy. When his sun shines on you, you feel it. But when the sun is shining elsewhere, it's cold. He can cast quite a shadow. Those words painted a picture of life with Ben Affleck. The highs were incredible. The lows were freezing. The real issue destroying their marriage wasn't the nanny. It was Ben's drinking. In a 2018 interview with the New York Times, Ben would admit that his biggest regret in life was the divorce. He revealed that he'd been drinking relatively normally for a long time, but everything changed in 2015 and 2016. As his marriage was falling apart, he started drinking more and more. Of course, the drinking created more marital problems, which led to more drinking. It was a vicious cycle. Ben had actually first gone to rehab back in 2001, years before he met Jennifer. He was 29 years old, partying too much without boundaries. He described it as clearing his head before it became a real problem. But the problem came back with a vengeance. In March 2017, after the divorce was filed but before it was finalized, Ben announced on Facebook that he'd completed treatment for alcohol addiction. He wanted to be the best father possible. He thanked Jennifer specifically for supporting him and caring for their kids while he did the work to get sober. It was a touching moment of accountability. Then came August 2018 and everything fell apart again. Photographers captured images that would become iconic for all the wrong reasons. Jennifer Garner arriving at Ben's Pacific Palisades home with a Bible in her hand and her bodyguard by her side. She looked shaken, distraught. She'd come to stage an intervention. For nearly 2 hours, Jennifer stayed inside Ben's house that day in August 2018. When she emerged, Ben was with her. She drove him directly to a rehab facility in Malibu for his third stint in treatment. The images of that drive were heartbreaking. Here was a woman who'd been divorced from this man for months, still showing up to save his life. It seemed like the story of their relationship in one moment. Jennifer trying desperately to rescue Ben from himself, even when she had no obligation to anymore. By 2021, Ben was in a completely different place. He'd gotten sober, reconciled with Jennifer Lopez, and was promoting his film The Tender Bar. When he sat down with Howard Stern for a 2-hour interview in December, he seemed ready to be honest about everything that went wrong. Maybe too honest. The conversation covered his entire life. His career, his kids, his alcoholism, his rekindled romance with J.Lo. But the part that made headlines was what he said about Jennifer Garner. "We had a marriage that didn't work," Ben told Stern. "This happens. It's somebody I love and respect, but to whom I should not be married any longer." He explained that they'd taken their time, really tried for the sake of their 3 kids. Both of them eventually realized they didn't want their failing marriage to be the model their children saw. He believed they would have ended up at each other's throats if they'd stayed together. Then came the quote that would haunt him for years. "Part of why I started drinking was because I was trapped." He painted a picture of his mindset during those final years of marriage. "I was like, I can't leave because of my kids, but I'm not happy. What do I do?" His solution had been to drink a bottle of scotch and fall asleep on the couch every night, which, as he admitted, turned out not to be the solution at all. But the most explosive part came when Ben speculated about an alternate timeline. He told Stern he'd probably still be drinking if he was still married to Jennifer. The implication was clear. Their marriage was so suffocating that it drove him to alcoholism. The internet lost its mind immediately. Twitter erupted with accusations that Ben was blaming Jennifer for his drinking problem. People called him ungrateful, reminding everyone that Jennifer had stood by him through multiple rehab stints. She'd driven him to treatment. She'd raised their kids while he was getting sober. And this was how he thanked her? By suggesting their marriage was a trap that made him an alcoholic? Others pointed out the cruelty of saying these things publicly when his kids could read them. Violet was 16, old enough to understand every word. How would she feel hearing her father say he drank to cope with being married to her mother? The backlash was so intense that Ben appeared on Jimmy Kimmel Live the very next day to do damage control. He looked frustrated and hurt as he tried to explain what actually happened. Ben said he'd been really happy with the Stern interview. It was a 2-hour long-form conversation about family, divorce, alcoholism, and struggling with real things. They talked about accountability, about how proud he was of his co-parenting relationship with Jennifer, about how much respect they had for each other. Then he saw the headlines. They had literally taken the conversation that I had for 2 hours and made it seem as if I was saying the exact opposite of what I said, he told Kimmel. The media had cherry-picked the most inflammatory quotes and stripped away all context. Headlines screamed that he'd blamed his ex-wife for his alcoholism, that he was trapped in the marriage. They made him out to be the worst, most insensitive, stupid, awful guy. "I want to be clear," Ben said emphatically. "That's not true. I don't believe that. It's the exact opposite of who I am." He would never want his kids to think he'd say a bad word about their mom, but the damage was done. No amount of clarification could put the toothpaste back in the tube. Even in 2023, more than a year after the controversy, Ben was still trying to explain himself. In an interview with The Hollywood Reporter, he called the experience really painful. He'd done an interview where he was vulnerable, and the entire pickup was not only wrong, but actually the opposite of what he meant. He wanted people to understand that his behavior was his responsibility entirely. Nobody made him drink. Not Jennifer, not the marriage, not anything external. He was trying to make a sad point about divorce. Anyone who's been through it makes the calculus of how much do we try? How long do we stay? When is it better to leave? Ben's point was that he was drinking too much because he was unhappy. And the less happy you become, whether it's your job, your marriage, or anything else, if you're filling that hole with unhealthy things, you're going to do more and more of those things. The marriage didn't cause his alcoholism. His inability to cope with unhappiness did, but he believes the media mischaracterized his words to make it clickbait. No matter how many times he said, "I don't blame my ex-wife for my alcoholism," the headlines kept suggesting otherwise. The whole situation revealed something about Ben's relationship with fame and public perception. He'd become, in his own words, one of the poster boys for actor alcoholism and recovery. He didn't want that role, but there he was. Fast forward to 2022, and Ben Affleck is married to Jennifer Lopez for the second time. The romance that captivated the world in the early 2000s got its fairy tale ending. Or so everyone thought. In August 2024, exactly 2 years after their wedding ceremony, Lopez filed for divorce. No official reason was given, but sources suggested the same old issues. Ben's moodiness, the media pressure, the challenge of blending families. Whatever spark they'd rekindled had burned out again. And suddenly, reconciliation rumors about Ben and Jennifer Garner started flying. In March 2025, a video went viral showing Ben and Jennifer at their son Samuel's paintball birthday party. In the footage, Ben gives Jennifer a brief hug. Nothing scandalous, just a friendly embrace between two co-parents. But the internet read more into it. Page 6 ran a story with sources claiming Ben would love another chance with Jennifer if the timing were ever right. That he knew it wasn't realistic at this time in their lives, but the desire was there. Other outlets reported Ben was acting extra giddy around Jennifer lately, much more affectionate than usual. She didn't seem to mind. She seemed to enjoy spending time with him. Then in October 2025, things got even weirder. Radar Online published reports claiming Ben and Jennifer had entered into a friends with benefits arrangement. Sources described it as finding comfort in someone who knows you completely. They allegedly had firm boundaries though. No staying over, no date nights, no talk about what comes next. The whole thing sounded bizarre, especially because Jennifer has been dating businessman John Miller since 2018. Reports say she's even planning to marry him. But according to these sources, what she shares with Ben is something separate, built on history and mutual understanding. Ben supposedly has more respect for Jennifer than anyone else in his life. She stood by him through his darkest moments. Friends were reportedly worried this arrangement would complicate things, but insisted the boundaries were in place to protect their co-parenting relationship. Meanwhile, other sources completely shut down the reconciliation rumors. Jennifer was spotted engaging in serious PDA with John Miller, kissing him publicly as if to send a clear message to everyone. She's moved on. She's happy. She's not getting back together with Ben. But behind the scenes, Ben is reportedly struggling with Jennifer's upcoming wedding to Miller. Sources claim he's heartbroken, that he still sees Jennifer as the love of his life. He calls their divorce the greatest regret of his life. The pattern is impossible to ignore. Ben seems to realize what he had only after it's gone. So, what really happened between Ben Affleck and Jennifer Garner? The truth is, it wasn't one thing. It was everything. It was two young people who fell in love and had a baby before they really knew each other. It was the immense pressure of Hollywood, of raising kids in the spotlight, of paparazzi camping outside their house during school runs. It was Ben's demons, the alcoholism he battled since his 20s, the depression and unhappiness he tried to drown in scotch instead of facing head-on. Jennifer was his rock for years. She tried to be his savior, his anchor, the person who could keep him stable. But you can't fix someone who isn't ready to be fixed. And being someone's entire support system is exhausting, especially when you're also raising 3 kids and managing your own career. The Nanny scandal became the symbol of their collapse, but it was just a symptom of deeper problems. They'd been separated for months before Nannygate hit the tabloids. The marriage was already over. Christine Ouzounian was just the match thrown on a pile of ashes. Ben's controversial comments about feeling trapped weren't really about Jennifer. They were about his own inability to be happy, to be present, to be the partner and father he wanted to be. He felt trapped by his own failures, not by his wife. But in trying to explain that complexity in an interview, he reduced it to sound bites that hurt everyone involved. The irony is that Ben and Jennifer became better partners after the divorce than they ever were during the marriage. They're considered the gold standard of co-parenting in Hollywood. They attend their kids' events together, support each other through hard times, and maintain genuine respect and affection. Maybe that's what they were always meant to be. Not husband and wife, but co-parents and friends. At 53, Ben finally understands what went wrong. He can articulate his mistakes, acknowledge his demons, take responsibility for his choices, but understanding doesn't give him the power to fix it. Jennifer has moved on. She's found peace with someone else, and Ben is left holding the truth of what he lost, unable to change the past, watching the love of his life marry another man. The real lesson in their story isn't about betrayal or infidelity or even addiction. It's about the heartbreaking reality that sometimes love isn't enough to save a marriage. Sometimes two people can genuinely care about each other and still be completely wrong together. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is admit it's not working and walk away before you destroy each other completely.